For years, you've listened to me explain the different types of motion tracking. Point tracking, planar tracking, 3D tracking. They're all the same thing, really. You get the computer to follow tiny recognizable pixel clusters from frame to frame, then use that to figure out either the simple position and rotation of the whole image, the distortion of a flat area, or an estimate of where everything, including the camera, is in 3D space.
Is there a way to crop out like a walking person without doing it frame by frame? Yes, of course. Most people would never do it frame by frame. That's way too much work. I'll give you a super quick example if I can. Here's the ground. And there's a guy here. And there's a string holding him or whatever. So the most basic way would be that you got like the clone tool or something, right? And you would literally frame by frame paint out this. You'd paint it out and then you go next frame and you paint it out, you go next frame. The much better way to do it is what he just showed.
Cut it out.
No.
Cut it out. Just stop.
You pick some things in the background and you track them over multiple frames. And then you make just one picture, just one square of greenness that you just put in here. And you just use the tracking data to make that stick. This is sort of, it's like what I did for Turtles. I had to remove a whole car in a car chasing scene. Let me see. Here. Yeah, it is that one.
Anything else I can do for you?
So this shot, initially it started before this, this bridge below me. And then right here, well, you know those like...
You are weak. Yeah.
One of those tricycles, the 3-wheel ones, was right here. And they realized that that had already blown up. Normally it would have been easy, but these sparks made it really hard. Trying to paint it out but keep the sparks is what really sucked. Yep, that was like probably a week's work for fucking half a second in the movie that no one ever thinks about. Did you get to see movies early? Well, I mean, if I was working on it, yeah, obviously I saw it way before it was out, yeah. They send you just the part you're working on. The only time you'd see the whole movie was if you were working on smaller, like, maybe local movies for, like, Star Wars and shit. They're only gonna send you the stuff they need to send you and nothing else. Did you see boobs? Yeah. We worked on a movie where, like, a weird alien squid creature fucks a girl. There was one scene where I had to make her be naked because she was wearing like body-colored underwear, and some guy made in Photoshop made like a pussy or pubes, and then I had to track that in over her underwear so she looked naked. I also never watched this movie. Most of the stuff I worked on, I actually didn't watch because I just didn't. Why would you work on movies that you never watch? What? Because it was work? What do you mean? Guys, I worked at a company and they said this is what you need to do. And so I did it. And now the guy is asking, why would I do it? I don't think I remember any of this stuff anyways, even if I tried to. I just wanted to try to show the guy the cleanup thing. The way the program works generally is that if you pretend that there's something here, you wouldn't start on the first frame and be like, okay, I want you to be here now. And then go on the second frame and say, I want you to be here now. And then go on the second frame and say, I want you to be here. Then go here and go. You wouldn't really do it this way, frame by frame, because normally it's gonna get choppy and strange, and also it's very time consuming. Instead, you tell it on the first frame, you say, I want you to be here on the first frame, and then you jump to like the last frame, and you tell it, and on the last frame, I want you to be here. And then the computer would automatically create the animation in between, right? Keyframes. Most people are familiar with this. If you do need to fine tune it, you jump into the middle, like frame 50. You tell it to actually go out here on frame 50, and now you get a bend, and you can go, you know, you tweak that way. It looks very unimpressive. Basically, every major blockbuster movie you guys have watched in the past 20 years have been made in this software. Partially, of course. Do you ever use 3D production in your work? Yeah, all the time. Well, this software has like 2.5D. That's what this is. Like, what we could do is we could take a card in 3D space, put that on our little Nymn friend here. So a lot of stuff that's like you've recorded someone and you need to put a new background behind them. You're not necessarily going to build that whole background in like advanced 3D. It might be enough to just do it in 2.5D instead. Like this, see? Imagine this pot friend Nymn, but this is like someone recorded instead. This is like maybe an extra or whatever, you know? This is basically what the Star Wars scene was, you know? Yeah, this one. I didn't do... almost all of the other stuff was like smaller side stuff. But this was like the big establishing shot in the In the Rebel base, I worked on this for like 4 months or something. And it's like a 3-second shot in the movie. So it just means that it's a 4-month long process, right? So maybe you work on it for 3 days, you send it for feedback, you get feedback 2 days later, you wait for new renders, and then next week you get back to work on it for a bit. But it was, yeah, very, very long process.
We must scatter the fleet. We have no recourse but to surrender.
Remove yourself from the pool.
50 months. Nymn pains.
That's actually a really difficult job, fucking, because the pool isn't static. If the pool was like a still thing, like if I'm sitting on the floor or something. I think what you could do is, if you were to time offset this, I have an idea that might work, which is I take the same footage, let's say 100 frames later, and then I just I take this area of the pool over here. I'm trying to do something super fast now. Okay. So look, I take this part of the pool, right? Like the side part of the pool. And let's see, and then I just sort of try to put that over myself. Haha. I'd need to also contain this to just the pool. I'm assuming the camera doesn't move. Because if the camera did move, then I'd have to also like animate this, what I'm doing right now, this mask. Which would be, once again, be a bit more time consuming. But that's where you would also track it. I actually don't think I need a time offset, but it'll look sus. See, I'm gone. But I mean, this is very lazy. You can see, you know, it's not very clinical. You need to get like this shadow back. This thing that goes up here. So I'd have to go in and like fine tune. Work quick maybe? Yeah. I think I'd be almost depressed realizing how much so I did it for what, fucking 8 years if you include studies. But now it's been 5 years of not doing it. Got a bunch of friends who still do this every day for a living though. They're pretty cracked at this stuff now. There, see? It's sort of, you can tell something's going on. And then another thing is that it's always the same, you know, when you know what you're looking for, and I know there used to be a guy in the water, so I'm staring my mind out, and I know how I've removed him, so I see all these things. You could stare yourself crazy at some of this stuff. This workflow is super nice. The reason it's so good is because you can, all of your tweaks and settings are all just stored in these nodes. You can go back and change them. This thing changes the color immediately of it, like as it comes in. And if you ever want to tweak that color correction, you can always just go back, disable it or enable it or mask it. Some of the really crazy ones get pretty hardcore though. Like here's a random one I just found now. Here's like someone's workflow. Did some of your projects look like that? Not that bad, I'd like to think. Or mine were pretty organized. The worst thing that could happen was when you had to take someone else's workflow over, and it would just be one big mess and you had no idea what anything was. I assume there's no way to leave notes. No, you can leave notes. What you're supposed to do is like backdrop, and you can be like, this is where the pot happens. And you can do this. You know, you can be like, okay, so in this vicinity here, this is where we do the pot stuff. But, you know, you think everyone's gonna be good and tidy? Whenever your streaming career plummets, you will always have a plan B as backup. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever go back to doing this stuff. I did it for long enough. I love doing it, but I'm happy to move on now.